Hello everybody and welcome back to another My Porch Prints tutorials. Today we are going to be working on our Reversible Herbology book that we started in part 1 of this series where we put together the base. And today we're going to be finishing it by decorating all of the pages and adding the cover. So we're going to go ahead and get started by taking a look at some of the materials you'll be needing for this project. Links to all of these will be down in the description box below, and you can find everything that you will need on our Etsy page, so go ahead and check those out if you haven't already. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and grab our books that we put together previously, and we're going to mark them with one side being the healing and one side being the harmful aspects. This is going to kind of give us the reversible effect that we're going for here. You're also going to need these labels that come with the Botanical Fussy Cut Scraps kits. And I went ahead and printed these words out twice to go with our images on both sides, and also took these scraps into Photoshop and added some information on the healing and harmful properties of each of the plants. And I went ahead and did that for every single plant. And if you're curious where I got the information, I got most of the healing aspects out of this book. It has a lot of good information on their uses, as well as a couple of tidbits from this book that I picked up a couple years ago at a Barnes & Noble. We're also going to be taking some of these labels to use for decorating as well. And I sorted everything out into piles so I could keep it organized. And I also went around in my yard and just collected some plant scraps that I thought sort of matched the images we are using today. I didn't find the exact plants because I didn't have them around, but if that's something you want to do, feel free. Next, I put all of the plants in a book and pressed them down with some heavier books overnight. And once they were dried, I took all of them out and placed them where I could see them. Alright, so getting started here, I'm going to begin on the healing side, opening that up. And to decorate behind my plant labels, I will be using some ribbon and also some scrap pieces of paper that I had laying around. I wouldn't recommend the ribbon though, it was a bit hard to work with, so I would just stick to the paper. As well as some of these botanical scraps that we will be adding to each of the pages. And I found out that most glues sort of leak through this brown craft paper, but glue sticks seem to work just fine, so I would recommend using those instead. And when it comes to decorating these pages, I sort of did everything the exact same way, starting with the plant notes on the back, layering a botanical scrap on top of that with the properties tag at the very front, and then the plant label on top and a pressed plant specimen on the side. And I'm just going to repeat that process over and over until I have everything laid out where I like it. And if you're confused at all which labels go with which plant, all of these plant images actually have the name of the plant down on the bottom of the picture, so just match them up that way. I'm also securing things down with these little mini paper clips because I thought they were kind of cute and added a bit of character to the page. Links for that will be down in the description box as well. And I would recommend not using ribbon, actually, if I could go back and talk to my past self. It was sort of hard to glue on and it didn't stick as well, so I would have just used a brown paper instead. So that's what I will be recommending to you. And for the paper clips, I just went ahead and secured them to that back information label before the glue totally dried, and I didn't have any problems with it. I also found that the glue works just as well for the plants as the paper, so I would recommend to just really use that glue stick for everything. I think I ended up using almost the entire glue stick on this project. But yeah, I mean, if it works, you know? And I did a little bit of experimenting, moving things around, attaching them at the top or the bottom, or tearing parts of plants off to make them smaller, whatever kind of inspires you. And for this page, I decided to do something a little different and add a wax seal using this really beautiful green wax that we got recently. Gluing everything down first. And I don't know about anyone else, but I just love the look and smell of wax. Like, it takes me back to my high school art class where we were working with wax for some of our school craft projects, and it's just very sentimental. Taking this pretty leaf stamp that I have and also a metallic bronze Sharpie, I'm just going to go over the raised surface of the leaf print, just very gently capturing only the raised edges. And that's going to help the seal sort of pop out and stand out a little bit more. Alright, so the rest of this is basically just me decorating the healing property pages. So I'm just going to sort of set back and let you follow along with that, and I will see you when those are done. All right, and that would be the last of our healing property pages. Everything is decorated, so now we're going to go ahead and flip it over to the harmful properties. And for these, I used the greener colored paper from the kit, and it's all basically the same except for the properties themselves being the harmful properties. And we're also going to be decorating using some of these darker elements from our Halloween kits, things like poison labels and skulls and crossbones. And I also went ahead and used some of the plants that had darker coloring or more of a, I don't know, interesting sharp edges, things like that, just to sort of give it a darker tone. And again, we're just kind of decorating this the exact same way as on the healing side, just with those darker elements to sort of create that reversed effect that we've been going for. there you go. That is the last of our pages finished with the decorating. Next, we can go ahead and move on to finishing up this project by working on the cover. These covers are actually a freebie we are giving away in our Facebook group, so make sure to go check that out so you can get these and download them for this project. And to start, we're just going to cut it out and fold along this white line. Creasing it really well. And lining up the covers. So you want the white cover is going on the side that we marked healing. So that's the one we're starting with. And just matching up the corners, we're going to sort of wrap it around the binding and give it a good squeeze to sort of mark where we're going to need to fold that edge. Creasing along that. Double checking that everything still matches up, and it does. So we're going to go ahead and crease the corners on the back side of the spine. And creasing that again. And when you're done, you should have a sort of squared off spine. If you open it up, it should look kind of like this. And closed like this. And this is going to create the pocket that we need to put our magnets inside of, since this cover is going to be magnetized, and this will just help you see where you need to put them. Again, I will have links to the magnets down below. They're just these really little magnet pairs. We're going to be taking 4 of them total, 2 per side, and pulling them apart. When you're doing this, you'll want to make sure that when you glue your magnets in, that they are facing the right way. One side will sort of magnetize and the other will repel, so just make sure that you're testing that as you go along. Just sort of placing the magnet where we need it. Again, I'm going to be using the glue stick so that it doesn't leak through. Getting a good glob of it on there. Like so. And just placing that down where it needs to go. You can fold it closed to sort of double check and make sure that it's going to stay where you want it. And when you're sure it's in the right spot, we're going to add a little bit more glue to the other side and glue all along this inner fold, right up to the edge. And fold everything closed, trying to be careful not to move the magnet. And press everything down. All right, just like that. And there you go. That first cover is done. Just to give it a little more character, I decided to go ahead and round off these corners on the label that folds over. That was just an aesthetic preference. You don't need to do this. I just kind of liked the way it looked. Okay, so right here is where I made a bit of a mistake. Before gluing this first cover down, we need to put our second cover together. Since the magnet goes under the cover, we won't know where to place them until both covers are built. So do as I say and not as I do, and don't glue this first cover down. Instead, build the second cover exact same way that we built the first, and use the magnet in our cover flap to help us place the one that goes under the cover itself. You can do this by feeling where the magnet is with your fingers and prevent them from repelling by just pressing the magnets together to see if they stick. Once you are sure they are facing the right way and you know the location of the magnet inside of our little cover flap, you can go ahead and place it correspondingly on the front cover itself so that they line up properly, and glue it down and glue the cover on top of it to seal it in. And right here I am realizing that I glued my cover down too early, so I had to peel it off and sort of redo it. So just to avoid having to go through that extra step, wait to glue them down until you have your magnets placed, and that shouldn't be a problem. Alright, and while those covers are drying, we're going to go ahead and put together these little plant pendants. And just a fair warning that the leaves will dry and change color from green to brown if you don't treat them. So if that's something you want to prevent, that's an extra step you will need to take. But really simple, we're going to remove this glass cabochon piece, setting it aside, and laying our leaf inside the bezel pendant. And taking a little bit of clear tacky glue, I'm just going to add a drop very carefully on top of the leaf, placing the cabochon on top and pressing down very softly until the glue goes all the way to the edge. And when you look at it, it should look something like this. And when it's dry, it will look something like this. And it should be perfectly secure. And we're just going to go ahead and do that for both the harmful and healing sides. I chose sort of a scarier looking leaf, I suppose, for the harmful side. And I'm also going to be using these corner brackets and adding those to the covers as well. And since they only came in bronze, I'm using a silver Sharpie to just lightly go over the surface of them to make them silver to match my other pendant. And once they are dry, we're just going to go ahead and place them on the cover, being careful not to cover the flap with them because we want that to still be able to open. Using a bit of clear tacky glue, just going to glue that down right in the center and add all of my corner brackets to the corners of the cover as well. When finished, you should have something like this, and we're just going to go ahead and replicate that on the other side with the bronze colored elements. And there you have it, a reversible herbology book with plants of healing and harmful properties. right, I hope you guys found this tutorial helpful, and thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye!